let's think about the perspective of black women and black men in relationships, in a marriage, right? We kind of touched on the concept of y'all mostly feel like women should spin the block, right, and come back to get us.
Yeah,
But
for
what would
sure.
I don't
prevent
agree with that.
what? No, 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 no,
They
no.
don't
But we
have
touched
to, but I
on
think
it,
it
don't agree with
should.
that
right?
either. In that
But
nature,
okay, so Kev feels like that she should spin the block. Who else feels like she should spin the block?
because
Anybody
the
else?
thing about because maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but when I hear spin the block and going back to the hood, like that doesn't necessarily like you can have someone who went to college doesn't live in the hood but not as
No, but the hood is a
successful as you.
metaphor. The hood is
Nah,
not
but-
Exactly.
That's what I
Thank
wanna
you
make
for
sure.
clarifying that
That's what I
part.
wanna make
Because
sure.
you know,
Hold
That's
on,
why I'm
no.
saying
thank
that.
you.
Kev gave his example
That's
early
why I'm
though.
saying that. Okay.
Kev
okay,
gave
cool,
his
cool,
example
cool.
early, and he said,
Cool.
if that's what we're required to do, then why not the other way around? That like he pretty much posed
Nah,
that question.
And if
to
black
me-
I'm
women,
actually saying that because obviously, like we may not get that the hood was a metaphor, right? Or
Yeah,
everyone,
I know.
all the
Appreciate you for
listeners might not.
clarifying that, James and
that's
VAR.
why I brought that
Thank
out
you.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you guys know
because
me
we
well
need to
enough to
make sure that
understand
that
where I was
we knew
using.
what you was talking-
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But when you said black women are our LeBron, I think that that's a great analogy, right? Like,
Bro,
you,
if they are
you,
that are saviors, then they need to consider themselves as that. And I don't want to cut you up. I just wanted to like elaborate what I meant because I want to say that, right? If our role is to advance the black community, this is why we're here. We're here to amplify the voice of the modern black man. Why? Because we're all black men. We want to see black people. We want to see black community grow and advance. Why don't women who are advancing themselves have the same perspective? That's just my question for listeners, right? Now, if it's like, well, black men aren't at my level, is because statistically that's you're not expected to be that, right? So now you have to make a decision. Are you for us or are you for yourself? And if it's for yourself, meaning I want to advance myself, so I'm gonna go find somebody who is doing just as well as me or better than me. That's all. That's a self-inflicted initiative,
well,
in my humble opinion.
something you said, I have to address it because I don't want us to sound like hypocrites. Now, there are tons of black men who get on and marry white women, right?
Because, bro,
But look, I want to just
because-
say this conversation is not about that. This conversation
No, it's
is,
not.
I
It's
wanna-
not. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to
appreciate
just
that.
point out the hypocrisy, just so we aren't like, oh, they talking about this. We're specifically talking about
Bro,
the
you're
article.
really good at this, bro.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Because you get how people will perceive
Yeah.
information.
He already
And
right.
I'll
I'm
say
just
this
reading
We
the
just
too.
room.
talk about that.
Yeah, VAR reading the room. But I will say
Black
this.
women
We
will
did
say
have-
that.
Hold on, Kev. We did have a friend of the show definitely comment about the financial situation and definitely tell us like, yo,
Right.
this motherfucker can't even like, yo, you can't even snore up in this motherfucker because you ain't making no bread. Like, wait, what? Like, hold on.
Okay, I get
how my
that.
sleeping pattern get messed up because of my pocket?
Oh yeah.
What that got to do
I-
with
Are
I
it?
you
mean-
late? You can't afford to be late. You can't. You don't make enough money to
How
be
dare
late.
you?
It's like, yo,
I get the idea that unfortunately not all of us are successful in the minds of what women would want, high performing women are looking for. I mean, I'm not telling them to go back to hood and pick up the worst 10%. I'm just saying if he has the potential and the available resources to elevate himself and you see that, why not go back and create something really powerful? Why not inspire him to be great, right? Why not give him the
Cleveland, I'ma
the
set you
energy
up.
that for sure, go ahead.
I'm about to say, and he has
No.
all the qualities that you want in a man too.
Yeah, he has all the
Cleveland-
qualities. He's smart,
Cleveland-
charming, and athletic.
Cleveland
That's
made
what
a
they
good
want,
point.
right?
Cleveland made a good point, and this is the parallel that I can see this through. My role at work is to find qualified black people to get tech internships, right? Many folks would think that that's very hard to do. No, they're just looking in the wrong places. They're not prioritizing looking for black talent. Cleveland made an example earlier around if you are looking for something, you will find it, right? But it's just like jobs, right? Like you it's not going to be like on the street corner. You got to there requires some work in order to be able to find that thing. Now, the question for you, Cleveland, is do you imagine that for black women it is that tough to find a black man, quote unquote, on their level?
I don't want to speak on behalf of black women, but from the statistics, then the statistics do not accurately depict the level or the caliber of black men that exist that are open to marrying in dating and supporting black women. I don't think it's a proper representation. There's too much that goes into why a black man doesn't graduate high school, why a black man doesn't go to college, to limit it to those two factors as to why black women aren't having successful marriages with black men. It goes so far beyond that, and we can't discredit the role that racism plays in all of this, and slavery plays into all of this. Not even trying to be funny, like all of that plays a part in it. And the one thing I didn't like about the article is, although the numbers are going to support what you're saying, because it's like 50% of black men are 50% less likely to graduate from these institutions. I get what you're saying, and then you're going to relate that to the divorce rate. But at the same time, there are highly successful black people that get divorced just as frequently, if not close to it. So I don't think it's fair to say that the reason why black women aren't having successful relationships with black men is because they're uneven in terms of education and finances. Like, I don't think it's just that. It's so much more to it. And I just don't like the fact that it was reduced down to that, because I think there are good black men who may not meet the qualifications of what successful should be or what successful is.
And as we talked about before, we also know that sometimes, quote unquote, good black men come with this corny stigma, right? So that's a whole nother aspect.
Oh boy.
Right,
was kind of
right. So that's a whole nother avenue of like, oh, he gotta have swag too. He gotta be all these extra things. But
that was
here's
Kev's,
another
that was Kev's example with the whole like the drug dealer, the whole like
Right. Yeah, but that's our influence.
Yeah.
To Cleveland's thing, the statistics are considering those confounders, though, right? Quite frankly, in my opinion, they're considering that as to why we're saying black women are more likely to do more than black men, because these systemic issues exist. Like, that is what the statistics are considering. They're considering, given our environment, given our culture, given what we have, given our history, this is what it is right now, right? And if you think about that like that, to Cleveland's point that he made, then, and if women are considering that, then yeah, it makes that the selection is very narrow, very, very skewed, because now it's like there's not that many educated black men that haven't been
but here's,
in the street life, and that's what they're involved in, type of thing. You feel what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that the statistics are considering those things. I just want to emphasize that the statistics are considering that, like they are considering what history has put on us. That's why it is what it is now, essentially.
Here's another wrinkle that I want to be mindful of, because black women are considered what they call, even though I hate this term, but a double minority, right? Not only are they black, but they're women. And historically, on the totem pole of power and influence, black women fall at the bottom. So, with that said, for black women to fall at the bottom and to supersede those circumstances and rise to, they are the most educated subgroup in America, right? If they are to say that, who are they? Is it not fair for them to demand that of a partner too?
That's what
Demand
my point
what,
about the
education?
systematic. No, let me say
Success.
But that is my thing, right? Racism has confused us, and more importantly, our black women, bro. Like, black women go into corporate America, bro, and in my opinion, they understand the hierarchy of success, and we're not at the highest level. So they don't see even us there to say, there's no representation there for us for them to even come back to say that we are that. You feel what I'm saying? I'll give you guys a cool example. And I hope it resonates well. It was at the airport, came back from vacation. Now, you guys know me, James know me enough that I don't really like people who are overly authoritative, right? I don't care for that, right?
Yeah, right.
So we got our bags, came out of customs, and my wife wanted to get her global entry renewed, right? So we go to the center, which was taking hella long. Actually, when we pulled up, there was nobody there, right? There was a bag in front of us that we didn't know, that we didn't recognize, right? A white man comes and like pretty much trying to tell us he was already here. He was already in line before us because his bag was here. So I let off with telling you I was at the airport, because you all know you can't leave your bag at the airport unattended. That's number one, right? You're not allowed to do that. So how you tell us I was here already? right? I left my bag here. So I look at him, I tell him, that must be nice. Right?
Yeah, that's
I
good.
say that must be nice.
Okay.
And he goes, what? That have my bag? And I just like let it go, right? I say, nah, it's cool. And my wife looks at me like I'm wrong for making that comment, right? Because part of it is like he's a white man, he didn't mean it that way. But you don't understand that there is under hidden
So much
like
more in that comment.
privileges a lot more than that comment. She didn't analyze it the way I analyze it, right? So I'm like, I never told her that. I never made it a big deal. I just let it go. But I'm saying that to say that is where we are programmed. We're programmed that if any of us were to pull up and say, "Yo, I was already here," we would have been like, "Nah." You know what I mean, like
Right.
it'll be. But I said it to say
White is right.
we have to be aware of how the system is affecting our perspective, and I'll leave it there.